Martell Holt sat down for a filmed conversation with his mother, Marlene, that immediately caught the attention of viewers. Right at the start, Martell's tone and approach were noticeably different from how he had previously spoken about his mother in past interviews and episodes. In earlier seasons, Martell had openly shared certain criticisms and frustrations. But during this recent scene, he appeared to soften his stance, almost walking back earlier comments. This shift set the stage for the rest of the exchange, where the focus turned to Martell's personal life, his living arrangements, and his long-standing connection to Arion. Viewers who have followed this storyline for years could immediately sense that this was going to be a moment worth paying attention to, so it's important to stay tuned until the end to see how all the pieces fit together. Martell revealed that he had moved Arion into one of his investment properties. This detail sparked curiosity because it signaled a significant step in their relationship. Even though he clarified that he and Arion were not living together, the property, according to Martell, was a practical solution. He saw no reason to pay for both the investment home and another separate place for Arion to live. His mother, Marlene, responded positively at first, acknowledging that Arion would likely appreciate the large home and comfortable setting. Still, the conversation didn't stop there, and the deeper they went, the more it became clear that Martell's decision carried more complexity than it appeared on the surface. Keep watching, because the context behind why this arrangement matters goes far beyond simple real estate. As Martell explained, his current legal arrangement with Melody meant that he couldn't have overnight stays with a partner in the same home as the children unless the couple was married. This court order had been in place since the end of his marriage, and it continues to affect how he navigates new relationships. When Marlene asked if he had plans to marry Arion, Martell admitted that while he did think about it, he wasn't certain yet. He stated that there were still things he needed to see from Arion to be sure the relationship was right for him. Marlene encouraged him to take his time, even adding that Arion had done a lot to be with him, a comment that carried its own weight in the conversation. This back and forth kept drawing the viewer deeper into the exchange, with the sense that each answer was leading to more questions. The discussion revealed that Marlene had not always been open to interacting with Arion. She admitted she had been set on not engaging with her at all, largely due to the circumstances under which the relationship began. Martell confirmed that she had once firmly told him she would never speak to Arion, but her stance had shifted over time. She referred indirectly to the affair and to the fact that Martell and Arion share a son named Maverick, though she avoided saying the child's name outright during the exchange. This indirect way of speaking suggested that the emotions tied to the past were still present, even if the conversation stayed polite on the surface. For longtime viewers, these subtle acknowledgments spoke volumes about the family dynamics in play. Martell's mention of Maverick brought the topic back to the lasting consequences of past actions. The timeline of his relationship with Arion stretches over a decade, and their son is now 5 years old. Despite this long history, Martell made it clear that marriage was not something he was ready to commit to just yet. He spoke of wanting compatibility and follow-through on promises from both sides before taking that step. At the same time, moving Arion into the investment property was a tangible gesture that could be interpreted as a sign of progress. Even if Martell himself framed it more as a practical arrangement than a romantic milestone, this combination of personal reasoning and logistical explanation left viewers weighing whether his actions and words aligned. The conversation could have been an opportunity for a deeper, more direct exchange between mother and son, but instead, it maintained a careful, measured tone. Marlene asked about Martell's interactions with others, even bringing up Marcel, though Martell dismissed the subject quickly, saying he didn't care about what Marcel was doing. The discussion circled back to Martell's need to make sure about his future with Arion, which to some could suggest hesitation. Still, in this setting, Martell presented himself as someone trying to be cautious and deliberate, rather than rushing into a decision. This framing is important to note because it shapes how viewers interpret the next stages of his storyline. When considering Martell's broader public image, it's clear that his relationship with Melody continues to influence how new developments are perceived. Melody has in the past spoken openly about feeling emotionally mistreated during their marriage. And there was even an episode where she implemented heightened security measures at her home. These moments remain in the audience's memory, adding context to why Martell's choices now might be met with scrutiny. Whether he is aware of it or not, these past events form part of the backdrop against which all current actions are judged, making even practical decisions like moving Arion into a property carry layers of implied meaning. Martell himself hinted at uncertainty, saying he wasn't sure whether he or Arion would follow through on their promises to one another. This acknowledgement of doubt came across as a cautious assessment of compatibility, but it also left space for speculation about whether the relationship was moving toward an endpoint. While Arion may see the housing arrangement as a sign of commitment, Martell's own words suggested a more watchful, evaluative stance. This contrast between perception and intent is a thread worth following to the very end of the scene, because it could shape future interactions both on and off camera. The dynamic between Martell and Arion has often been defined by intensity, and the sense that both conflict and closeness can exist side by side. In this case, Martell's decision to provide housing while holding back from formal commitment might reflect his way of balancing personal connection with caution. Marlene's responses, while supportive in tone, did not press the conversation into uncomfortable territory, leaving some topics unexplored. The result was a scene that on the surface appeared calm and agreeable, yet beneath it contained elements that could signal ongoing uncertainty. For viewers following this storyline closely, the key takeaway is that Martell's personal and family relationships remain deeply interconnected with his public life. The careful way the conversation was handled suggests that while some progress has been made in reconciling past tensions, other issues are still present and unresolved. Whether Martell's current approach leads to stability or further complications is something that will only become clear over time, and that is why it's worth staying with this story until the very end. The upcoming developments are likely to show whether his cautiousness results in a lasting arrangement with Arion, or if it signals hesitation that eventually leads elsewhere. Martell also made it clear that part of his decision-making process involved thinking about the well-being of all his children, including those he shares with Melody and his son with Arion. The court order concerning overnight stays highlights how much the co-parenting agreement still affects his day-to-day life, even though he did not speak negatively about Melody in this conversation. The arrangement they have in place is a direct reminder of how their marriage ended